29 miles. Doesn't seem that much, but it's the exact distance from Martinsville High School to Lucas Oil Stadium, and it's a distance the Martinsville Artesians hope to travel Thanksgiving weekend to play for a state championship. Their head coach Carter Whitson, he knows something about state championships. He won one at Shawnee High School in Oklahoma as a starting quarterback his junior year for his dad, and now he has his eyes firmly set on one as the head ball coach of the Martinsville Artesians. Whitson and the Artesians broke out last season in his second year as head coach. The Artesians simply ran over their opponents and ran out to a 5-0 record to start the season and the number 2 ranking in the state of Indiana. 21 seniors graduated from last year's team, but the former Oklahoma Sooner has no plans of rebuilding this year. His high-octane offense is back, powered by returning starters Matt Thomas and Andy Myers at receiver, running back Tyler Cox, and the strong right arm of senior Xavier Tenitis. And the defense, led by Coach Randy McKinney, may have one of the top linebacking groups in 4A, with hard hitters Jacob Perkin, Weston Pemberton, and Will Nix. The 29 miles to Lucas Oil Stadium starts tonight as the Martinsville Artesians and head coach Carter Whitson host the Bedford North Lawrence Stars live on MHS Rewind. Live look in here at Martinsville High School as the Martinsville Artesians get set to do battle here in their home opener, as they will battle the Bedford North Lawrence Stars. Welcome to Siderwitz Field on the campus of Martinsville High School. It's opening night of the 2019 football season, and Martinsville, like we said, set to do battle with the Bedford North Lawrence Stars. Good evening, everyone. I'm Eric Meyer. We're excited to bring you another season of Martinsville Artesian Athletics on WREP 15 Sports and live this year on the MHS Rewind YouTube channel. Last year, Martinsville traveled to Bedford and jumped all over the Bedford North Lawrence Stars to start the game before coming away with a big-time win over Bedford at their place, 45-21. Head coach Carter Whitson doesn't expect that to happen tonight. He knows Coach Steve Weber will have his Stars more than prepared. Martinsville will receive to start the game, and we will see the potent Martinsville offense take the field first. Coach Whitson feels the Stars are really similar to Martinsville this season. He talked on his show this week about the fact that Bedford has a lot of seniors that will start here tonight, as does the Artesians. The Artesians and Stars with players that are seniors, but not a ton with a lot of varsity experience. Well, they're going to get thrown right into it here from the get-go. The Stars will kick things off here as we get going live on the MHS Rewind YouTube channel. Bedford to kick things off. It'll be Zane Harrison doing the kickoff duties, and Martinsville will send Tyler Cox back deep to receive along with Andy Myers. Both those players, great seasons last year when they played. Tyler the whole season, but really was behind Isaac Osborne his year to shine this season. Andy, great start last year, got injured and was limited to 3 games, and Andy will get the football to start for the Artesians. Myers breaks it up the middle and will be brought down at the 45-yard line. Martinsville will start with great field position here for the contest. And let's take a look pretty quick here at the Artesian starting lineup here on the offensive side for Martinsville. Xavier Tonitis at the quarterback, Tyler Cox, the running back. The wide receivers on the outside, Andy Myers, Matt Thomas, Craig Wessner, and Matthew LaFerry will be at the slots. And then a look at the Artesian offensive line, Whitaker, Bryant, Baugh, Jenkins, and Kleesner for the Artesians, and head coach Carter Whitson. The first play, it's a fake to Cox, and down in the backfield is Xavier Tonitis. The sack right away from the Bedford North Lawrence Stars. On the outside, it's Jared Florkey, a 5'11", 205-pound junior, in from his defensive tackle spot. And Martinsville loses yardage there on their first play from scrimmage. Tonitis, second down, we'll call it 10 for the Artesians. Looking, throws it underneath, the reception made. And it will be Tyler Cox who pulls in the catch. A pickup of about 7 that time for the Artesians, Tyler Cox. Last year, Tyler just 5 catches, averaging about 7 yards a reception. Penalty flag. And that'll give Martinsville 5 yards back, so a little bit more manageable on third down. Third down, we'll call it 8 now. Tonitis looking, goes back to another option, and it will go off the hands of Craig Wessner. It'll bring up a 4th down, and we'll see what the Artesians elect to do here. We talked on the show this week with head coach Carter Whitson about special teams, and special teams have been very special the last couple of years with Caleb Urban. Well, he's not there now, so you may see Martinsville do more of this year, which is go for it on 4th down. They may also be trying to draw the Stars off sides. We'll see here as Tonitis with the hard count. Watching the Artesian sideline to see what Coach Whitson decides to do here, and it appears as if he will let the play clock tick down, and they will take the penalty here, I believe. I don't think anybody called a timeout. They did not, so that will back Martinsville up. It'll bring up a 4th down and 13 after the delay of game, and the Artesians will have to punt it away now to the Bedford North Lawrence Stars. So the opening series, the first 3 plays, not exactly how the Artesians have scripted it up, but this is a very quick strike Martinsville offense, and I'm sure Coach Whitson will get things going here. Tonitis with the punt, and by Xavier going back as the quarterback and the punter, you kind of had Bedford in a little bit of a different punt-receive look. That allowed the ball to roll, and it gets all the way down to the 20-yard line where it goes out of bounds. And this is where the Bedford North Lawrence Stars will start for their first series. Now let's take a look. After this play, we will take a look at the Artesians' starting defensive unit. Bedford in that really triple option look, and the quarterback going nowhere. A host of Artesian defenders drop Dalton Newkirk for a loss of 2. It'll bring up a 2nd and 12. As the Stars break the huddle, you get a look at the Artesian starting lineup. Those linebackers, the ones to watch for Martinsville. We'll get to that when we get a little bit more time. Nydkirk going deep. He will throw it out of bounds. So we'll go back now to the Artesian starting lineup. The defensive ends will be Jackson Kleesner and James Hicks. The tackles, Malachi Pringle and Nigel Bryant. Nigel playing both offense and defense this year. The safeties, Jonas Stillman and Ethan Potteroff. Ethan really playing a linebacker spot, and those linebackers, good ones, with Pemberton, Nix, and Burkett. And then the corners with Adam Field and Billy Bias. Big third down. And again, the Artesian defense there to clean it up. A pickup of maybe 1 yard there for the running back that time, Skylar Bates. So the Stars, just like the Artesians, are going to go 3 and out here on the opening series of the evening. So maybe some early jitters for both ball clubs, and both teams finding 4th and long on their first series will punt it away. The Stars, Skylar Bates gets the punt away, and it will go out of bounds. Nope, it stays in. Craig Wessner picks it up, and Craig, the sure-handed senior, ripped down just inside the 50, and that's where Martinsville will start possession at number 2. So you see Wessner there on the sideline, and while we have an opportunity, let's take a look at the starting defense for the Bedford North Lawrence Stars. It'll be similar to Martinsville in a 4-3 look. They lost a lot last year to graduation, but Justice Woods back at the safety spot will be the leading returning tackler for the Bedford North Lawrence Stars. The handoff goes to Tyler Cox, and Cox with a nice cut will finally be ripped down, but not before he picks up 14 yards on the carry. So Ty Cox with his first carry goes 14 yards, and Martinsville quickly will get it set, and they will be rolling trips here to the near side. And they will go once again to Cox, and he will fall forward and pick up about 2 on the carry. That will be the key, the storyline to watch this year for the Artesian from the running back spot. Can Tyler fill in the void left by Isaac Osborne last year, who was more the inside the tackle runner? Well, right there he's shown that he has the capabilities. 2 carries, 14 yards. Xavier Tonitis, Matt Thomas, and Martinsville draws first blood. But he drops it, and Martinsville will have a big third down. A little bit early on the play call there for me. I turned away to mark it down in the scorebook, and we'll have 3rd down and 8 coming up for Martinsville and the Artesians. Matt looking back into the sun, probably a little bit difficult to come up with. He was wide open. I would not be surprised to see Martinsville come right back to that same play call. Probably 4-down territory for the Artesian. Speed option, Tyler Cox trying to make a man miss. Picks up 1 on the carry. So it'll bring up a 4th down for Martinsville. 4th, we will call it 6th for the Artesians. Again, trips go to the far side of the football field. Tonitis looks to the sideline for the play call. He'll go back. Looking downfield, Andy Myers is open, and Andy will haul this one in for the touchdown. So Andy Myers picks up right where he left off last year. We told you early in the broadcast that Andy only played 3 games last year. In those 3 games, Andy, 19 catches, 316 yards, 3 touchdowns. Already here tonight he has a 31-yard reception and a touchdown for the Artesians. The extra point coming up. We thought Martinsville would probably go for 2 almost every time, and that's probably what we will see out of the Artesians. They will set the football on the far hash. Coach Carter Whitson asking for the play clock to be reset. It is, and with the loss, the huge graduation loss of Caleb Urban, who owns all the Artesian football kicking records and soccer records, as a matter of fact, Martinsville will probably be going for 2 an awful lot. Tonight it's on a little bit of a rollout, throws it underneath. Martinsville a little rubber out, if you will, and Craig Wessner pulls it in, and the Artesians are up 8-0. Well, all Martinsville has done through the air has gone 3 of 3 for 40 yards and a touchdown. And the Artesians out in front 8-0 here. Get a look at the senior quarterback, Xavier Tinnitus. So the Artesians will tee it up at about the 40, and it will be another soccer player, Jackson Fry, who won the kicking duties here. Coach Whitson talked about the fact that he and Brendan Shoemaker would do battle with that, and you see Jackson right away. He kind of gave the football to the official, and the official was waiting. Hey, you've got to put the football on the tee where you want it. So Jackson, a little bit of an early game jitters. He will get set to put the boot to it. He's waiting. Like we said, he's new. He has not kicked before. And we're ready to go. I think he's waiting for the whistle. And here we go. Fry, a little squib kick, and it'll be taken by the Stars at the 30-yard line. The return for Bedford North Lawrence, and Bry Lewis out on the return to about the 40-yard line. Bry played basketball this past summer with my son, and he is a hard-nosed kid, just a sophomore. You will probably hear big things out of him on the football field from the Stars in the future. So here comes Martinsville defense back on the field, and all they did on their opening series was allow -1 yards to the Bedford North Lawrence Stars. Coach Weber, his 7th year here at Bedford North Lawrence High School after coming over from Linton, and the offense you see is basically the veer that they're going to run in the triple option, as Martinsville again limits the carry, a pickup of about 3 that time for Skylar Bates. So Bates has gone 2 carries for 4 yards, but they also throw out of it, and they've had a lot of success. Last year, 8-3 for Coach Weber and the Stars. They lost their opener to Martinsville, and then their only other 2 losses on the season were at the hands of the perennial power Columbus East Olympians. The same team Martinsville scrimmaged last Friday night. They give on the triple option to the first man through, and again Weber picks his way through for a pickup of about 5. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 2. You've seen a lot on the ground for Bedford, but they will also put it up in the air when they have the opportunity. And like we said last year, they enjoyed a ton of success, but a lot of that success came with the quarterback, McCall Ray. But Ray, gone to graduation. All he did last year, over 2,000 yards passing and over 700 yards on the ground. So you know that Bedford can put it in the air, but here early on, they're keeping it on the ground. They're keeping it in the hands of their tailback, and Martinsville has forced a fumble. They are on it. Did the Artesians get the turnover? They did, and up out of the pile is number 11, Billy Bias. So the Artesians get the turnover, as Skylar Bates loses a couple on the carry. He loses the football too, and Martinsville right back in action. Coach Whitson really likes tempo. I would not be surprised to see him try to go something deep right here off the get-go. We will wait and see. They run some RPO, some run-pass option. This would be a good spot for it, and if it is, you're watching number 81, Matt Thomas, maybe on a post. We'll see. Try not to be the Tony Romo here in predicting the plays, but we'll see what the Artesians do. Maybe play it close to the vest here early on. 1st and 10 for Martinsville in Bedford territory at the 42-yard line. Xavier going back to pass, and he is hit, and he was going to Matt Thomas on the post. It just wasn't on the RPO that time. So it'll bring up a 2nd down and 10 for the Artesians. First incomplete pass of the night for Xavier Tonitis, the senior, who has been patient, waiting behind the quarterbacks, Jonathan Collier, waiting behind Travis Griffey, and getting his chance this year, and expecting big things out of the senior, Xavier Tonitis, who's already delivered with a 31-yard touchdown pass to number 31, Andy Myers. Xavier gives it to Ty Cox. He breaks it outside. Tyler with some running room. Finally brought down at the 20, but it's coming back. It'll be a hold on the Artesians.
On that tackle, Caleb Dallin, 69. Penalty being called. Brings the ball back to the 40.
So that'll bring it all the way back to the 11-yard line. And it'll bring up 2nd and 11 for the Artesians. Handoff now to the change of pace. It's Will Nix, and Nix picks his way through the secondary, a pickup of 8 for the big Artesian fullback. And Coach Carter Whitson talked about it on his show this week. He said, you're going to see that. You're going to see where Martinsville tries to tempo teams, and they'll try to change of pace them with number 44 and also number 26. And 2 carries by Will Nix nets the Artesians a 1st down. So Martinsville will roll Tyler Cox back in. A good move by Martinsville to get Tyler out of the game after the stoppage in play because of the penalty. Tyler with a big run that was negated because of the hold. Bring in the change of pace. Bring in Will Nix. He rips off 2 carries for 13 yards. Martinsville a 1st down, and we're off and going again. Back to pass again will be Tonitis. He's going to the post. He's got Matthew LaFerry, and he can't bring it in. So the Artesians have had some dropped touchdown passes. So went back and didn't account for the drop pass on the opening series in Xavier's stats, but still good stats. 3 of 6, 40 yards. Even better when you account for the fact that there have been a couple of drops that probably would have been touchdowns. Trips coming here to the near side. Handoff goes to Tyler Cox. He tries to go between the tackles, and he'll pick up 2. 4 carries, 19 yards now. Speed option to Tyler Cox, trying to get the corner. Tyler will be ridden out of bounds. Pickup of about 3. It'll be a 4th and short for Martinsville, and Martinsville will go for it, I'm sure. We'll say 4th and 4 as Cox was ridden out of bounds. Weston Pemberton will check in the backfield for the Artesians, and Bedford jumps off sides. That is the 2nd offsides call on a hard count by Xavier Tonitis, and Martinsville has another first down. So 1st and 10 for the Artesians. Xavier with a little bit of a draw play to Weston Pemberton, and the big sophomore tailback rumbles his way forward for a pickup of about 8. That fullback role, a familiar one for Weston. Played it in middle school as he rumbles his way forward for a pickup of a couple. I think he'll be there for a first down. Weston also, when he was younger, standout, like we said, football player. He played on Team Indiana, and he played fullback and running back for that team as well. Linebacker spot too. His dad was a pretty good slot back here for the Artesians as well, Greg Pemberton. Back in the day several years ago when he roamed the turf here at what is now Siderwitz Field. And he, like his son Weston, started as a freshman and played 4 years for the Artesians. 1st and goal now for Martinsville. Trips going to the far side. A little bit of a reverse. We'll go to Matthew LaFerry, and LaFerry in for the touchdown. Matt LaFerry on the 10-yard touchdown carry, and Martinsville with the touchdown. Artesians again will go for 2 here. Like we said, they're probably going to go for 2 for the majority of the season. If you go about 50%, you're in good shape. Well, that's picked off, and it will be a stoppage in play here in high school. You can't return it. So Martinsville 1 of 2 in the 2-point conversion territory. And Martinsville leads 14-0. So Martinsville now will kick things off. Again, it'll be Jackson Fry. Jackson will take the football, and this is his second go-around, so it may go a little bit smoother this time. I remember my first time I kicked off in junior league football. I ran up for an onside kick, and I missed the football. Earl Williams, who was around here for a while, long-time official and a superintendent as well, said, hey, that's all right, son. We'll just give you a chance and do it again. And I was able to kick it. Wasn't successful, but I had jitters just like Jackson did his first go-around. This one a little bit better. Picked up again, this time by Bry Lewis, and Bry again gets it out to about the 41-yard line. Had to do a quick Google search to see about 2-point conversions and stats to find they do not count in the stats category. So wipe off a couple of yards, a couple of completions, and an incompletion as well for Xavier Tenitis. And Martinsville lets the completion happen that time, the first of the game for Bedford, but it goes for no yards. Nykirk going to his tailback, Skylar Bates, and Bates makes the catch, but is wrapped up for no gain. 2nd and 10. The Stars out of the pistol set. Nykirk rolling underneath, and the tackle brought down that time by the Artesian linebacker, Weston Pemberton. The catch to Justice Woods.
Wes Pemberton on the stop.
That Martinsville linebacking core, a good one. Pemberton, last year's a freshman, 54 solo tackles. He had 56 assists and 4 tackles for loss. He's joined by Will Nix, who moves up from his free safety spot along with Jacob Burkett. Nykirk back to pass, has time over the middle, and it's brought in that time by the Stars. And it's a nice reception that time of about 14 yards. So Nykirk with 3 straight completions. Tabin Stillions with the catch, a pickup of 14. And the Stars on the move here. Nykirk quickly, a little hitch on the outside, and a pickup of about 13 this time. So the Stars going quick here. 4 straight completions now, and it'll be the freshman, Derek Hutchins, bringing it in. Actually, a senior, Derek Hutchins, so he had it wrong on the initial roster that I got. Rechecked it. Handoff in the backfield to a new running back for Bedford, Gavin Scherschel. Scherschel picks up about 4 on the carry, and hopefully Gavin does not carry the football a ton in this game because that name is not easy to say. A timeout, or actually the end of quarter coming up here. And it's been a good one for the Martinsville Artesians. Martinsville out in front, 14-0. Second quarter coming up.
Our definition of a relationship is being able to look you in the eye and hear about your concern, hearing about your family, hearing about your job, hearing about your aspirations, getting to know you, and positioning ourselves to help you meet those dreams. Now that sounds pretty old-fashioned, but we're not willing to give that up. We're simply not going to give that up.
For all the banking services you need, there's no place like home.
Join the majority.
So the Stars, 2nd, 7, at about the 26-yard line. Nykirk, he had Bates early, and then he will go down. First one there for Martinsville was Malachi Pringle, and then Jackson Kleesner finishes him off. He'll get credited for the sack. It's a loss of 7 for Nykirk, and it will bring up a 3rd down in about 15 now for the Stars, but probably 4 down territory. Ethan Bear, their kicker, back from last year. He was 51 of 57 on extra point attempts. Really good. But just 2 or 3 field goal attempts, so we probably won't see a field goal attempt here. And that was a false start on Bedford. So that will move them back 5 more yards and will make that third down even tougher. 3rd and 20 now. So the Stars, out of that pistol set, will send a man in motion. The triple option on the pitch. Scherschel will pick up about 6 on his second carry. So he has 2 carries for 10 yards. Big 4th and 14 now for Bedford. Like we said, this is really a triple option offense, but it just comes out of a little bit of a different look. They're going to toss it out here to Bates. Bates slips 1 tackle, won't slip the one from Jacob Burkett. Burkett brings him down after a pickup of a couple. And Martinsville will take over 1st and 10. Bates with his second reception, the tackle by Burkett. Well, we talked about that Artesian linebacking core. We mentioned the stats from Weston Pemberton last year. Burkett, also a great season. 45 sacks, 49 assists, 5 tackles for loss. He also had 1 interception. And that kid just flies around the football field and makes things happen. You saw an example of that in our intro to the game when we mentioned him. And with that, we put a video clip from Decatur Central. That was a game where he just wrecked any plans the Hawks had of trying to come away with a victory. It's a tremendous contest for him in that one last year. But that linebacking group, a very good one for Martinsville and head coach Carter Whitson. Tinnitus going deep. He's got Matt Thomas. Thomas pulls it in. And he will be brought down at the 10-yard line. A 60-yard toss and catch from Xavier Tinnitus to Matt Thomas. Try to get some of those highlights up to you here when we get an opportunity. They'll get the penalty flag back. Back to game action here. They'll toss it out here to Matt Thomas, and Matt will fall his way forward. Give him about 2 on the reception. Second and goal for the Artesians, just inside the 10. Xavier again will send trips to the far side of the football field. He rolls to the right, has pressure, throws it back across his body, and it will be incomplete. Xavier now 4 of 8 for 100 yards and a touchdown. That coming to Andy Myers, a 31-yard touchdown strike. But Xavier could have 2 other touchdown passes. They've been dropped by Artesian receivers, but Martinsville's still up. 14-0 here in quarter number 2. A handoff up the middle, and Tyler Cox will take it in from 8 yards out for the touchdown. Cox, 6 carries, 30 yards now, right at 5 yards per carry. And Martinsville now leads it. $14, or excuse me, 20-0. So we're getting ready to go for the 2-point conversion again. Handoff again to Cox. Cox stopped short. So Martinsville 1 of 3 in 2-point conversions, but they lead it 20-0. I'm going to get another look here at the touchdown run by Tyler Cox. Just an inside zone, and Tyler gets in with a no problem. 20-0, Martinsville out in front. 9:07 to go. The Artesians getting things done here in the season opener against the Bedford North Lawrence Stars. Again, it'll be a new Artesian kicking off. It'll be Brennan Shoemaker, and he'll do a little squib, picked up by the Stars. And it's Scherschel again with a good return to about the 45. Well, good things have happened for the Stars when he has the football, and so you may hear me attempt to try his name more as the game progresses. 1st and 10 for Bedford. The Stars drove into Artesian territory last series, but Martinsville with a big defensive stop and then the touchdown strike or touchdown run. Handoff up the middle. Again to Bates. He'll pick up 5 on the carry. Second and 5 for Bedford. Up the middle this time, and it's going nowhere. The Artesian front driving the Stars backward. Couple of new guys in there from Martinsville. In on the stop. Nigel Bryant in there. Also Darius Cook in on the stop. 3rd and 10 now. Nykirk tucks it under. And it's a pickup of maybe 1. So that'll bring up a 4th, and we'll call it 3 for the Stars. We'll see if they elect to go for it. Fourth down. 4th, and we'll call it 3 for Bedford. In motion is Scherschel. Nykirk over the middle. incomplete. And so Martinsville will take over. So Nykirk with the incomplete pass. His first pass was incomplete, and then he ripped off 5 straight. Before that one falls to the ground, he's 5 of 7, but just 32 yards. Just 14 yards on the ground for the Stars in 11 carries. So they have not had a lot of success on the offensive side of the football here tonight. Martinsville on the flip side has. Tinnitus 4 of 8 for 100 yards and a touchdown. And he's looking deep again. If he has time, he had Thomas, but he doesn't have time. And Tinnitus for the second time tonight will go down. This one a loss of 6. So a couple of sacks, but Matt Thomas was running free for the post once again. But Tinnitus with no time to throw. So it'll bring up a second down and 16. Xavier will hand it off to Tyler Cox, and Cox off the right side, outside zone, picks up what looks to be, as he falls forward, about 9 on the carry. We'll give him 10, 7 carries, 40 yards, and a touchdown for Tyler Cox. Last season, Tyler, as a sophomore, really running the RB2 spot, if you will, behind Isaac Osborne, 53 carries, 307 yards. But he's very dynamic, and that one's going to be wiped off again with another hold. So he's had a couple of big runs negated by holding penalties. So we'll wipe that one out. He had one of 14 yards wiped away earlier. This one of 10 wiped away. And now it's going to be second and a long way for the Artesians. We'll call it 25. See what happens here. Martinsville with the tight end going deep. Tinnitus has his man. Andy Myers pulls it in. And Myers with the 60, 70-yard touchdown reception. And Martinsville, just like that, strikes once again. Well, the defender fell down. Andy was already by him and had him beat, so it was probably irrelevant. And Tinnitus shows what he does really well, and that's throw the long ball. 5 of 9 now for Xavier, 170 yards and 2 touchdown passes, both to number 31, Andy Myers. And Martinsville now leads it 26-0. They'll bring in the big fella, Will Nix, and Will is denied. So the Artesians just 1 of 4 in 2-point conversions, but the defense has been stellar. They lead it 26-0.
I'm on 2.
So Martinsville now up 26-0. 5:45 left here in the first half of play. Live on the MHS Rewind YouTube channel. Will be all season long as the visiting team athletic directors are okay with us doing the live stream. Usually not a problem mid-state conference. Sometimes you step out of conference and the athletic directors see dollar signs when somebody wants to live stream, and even though it's an educational experience, can understand that. But the plans now, all of the Artesian football games will be back again like last year for boys and girls basketball, and then baseball and softball as well, as we have since 1999. when Martinsville received the donation of the TV station. The Stars corralled at about the 35-yard line, as again it was Brennan Shoemaker on the kickoff, so both he and Jackson Fry getting a lot of work on kickoff duties as Martinsville's offense has been in high gear all game. 1st and 10. As much as we talked about the offense, the defense has also been stellar. We touched on it after they forced the turnover on downs on the last series, and Bedford has really gone nowhere on the ground. Nykirk, the triple option, keeps it, and it's a pretty big pickup for the quarterback, so Nykirk will be back into positive yardage. 4 carries, 0 yards. He was at negative yards before that, but right there was the example of that triple option. And like Coach Whitson talked about, they just run it out of a different look, and you really just don't see that look any other time throughout the season. And that you saw all 3 options that time from Nykirk on the triple option. You fake the belly on the dive to what they call the tailback. Nykirk's next read is to whether to keep it or not. That was taking it away. And then Nykirk with the pitch that time to the pitch man and the pickup of the first down for the Stars. 1st and 10. Martinsville on the defense once again. Leading, though, big time, 26-0. Pitch again this time to Scherschel, and Scherschel again falls forward after a pickup of 7. Like we said, we'll probably be seeing more of Scherschel, and maybe it'll get easier for me to say his last name. A pickup of 7 that time. He's got 4 carries, 20 yards, easily the leading rusher for the Stars. They put it on the ground. Nykirk can't come up with it, but it looks like an offensive lineman came back and fell on it. A loss of a couple. So Nykirk back into a negative yards rushing. Nykirk tries to pitch. It's on the ground. Who came up with it this time? Not sure it's the Stars. And a different running back once again for Bedford North Lawrence as they're trying to find something on the offense. And another negative yardage for Bedford. And it'll bring up a 4th down, and they will probably go for it once again here. Under 3 minutes to go. What they look like they're back in punt formation. We'll see. Coach Randy McKinney just telling his team to stay out there and be ready. Martinsville will drop 1 man back to receive. The penalty flag will come in. It'll be a delay of game, and so that'll probably ensure that the punt will happen. And with that, Coach McKinney calls off his defense, sends on the punt team. So 31 comes out from receiving, and 21, Larry Bland, goes back to receive for Martinsville. It'll be Skylar Bates to punt for Bedford. The 3 personal protectors back there for him. Bates gets the kickoff, and Bland takes it at the 20. Larry hit and brought down immediately on the stop that time by Ben Costner. So Martinsville will start deep in their own territory again at about the 23-yard line. But it has been the quick strike Artesian offense here. When Tanitas has had time, he has been terrific. 5 of 9 for 170 yards. And remember, there have been 2 drops in this game that would have been touchdowns. So Tinnitus has been on target all night. And the Artesian offense, which we thought we may see this year, has been very potent through the air. Tinnitus again, checks down. Billy Bias. Billy hit, stood up, and brought down. Pickup of 1 for Billy. The right idea, trying to get Bias the football in some space because he is probably the fastest Artesian. And if you can get him in space, he can make some things happen. We've got a couple of different Artesian receivers in here on this series, so we'll see how it goes. 2nd and we'll call it 9 now. The speed option to Tyler Cox. Tyler cuts back, shows his speed, and he's off and running. Tyler Cox, one man to beat. He is probably the 2nd fastest Artesian, and he shows it right there. Ty Cox takes it the distance, put 77 yards down in the stat book, and number 28 has it into the end zone once again. And that big carry by Ty Cox is not going to be brought back by a penalty. 7 carries, 107 yards for the junior, and just 2 touchdowns. So Cox's last 2 official carries have gone for scores, and Martinsville is rolling. This time, Weston Pemberton punches it in for 2, and Martinsville is in control of this one. And now another look here at Tyler Cox taking it the distance. Off and running. It was a foot race won by Tyler Cox. Zane Spangler down on the camera doing a great job. As you see Martinsville racing out to the 34-0 advantage. It has been all Martinsville here, and we didn't think this would come into play, but it may. There is a new mercy rule this year in football. It comes into effect in the second half with a 35-point differential. So we may see a running clock in half number 2. Some coaches like it. Some coaches don't. Didn't think we'd get to it in game number 1. We aren't quite there yet, but we're getting close. As Martinsville has been dominating in this one. 34-0. Shoemaker, a little squib kick. The little bounce will be taken by Bedford and fallen on at about the 35-yard line. And Bedford will bring their offense back out. Jesse Burkett falling on it there for Bedford North Lawrence. Boy, Martinsville's offense has been electric here in the first half of play. Tyler Cox, 7 carries, 107 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Xavier Tinnitus through the air, 6 of 10, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Martinsville rolling here. Pass brought in for a 15-yard completion that time. A new receiver in. It's James Underwood. As Nykirk now 6 of 8 for 47 yards. Martinsville trying to make a big stand here on the defensive side to pitch the first half shutout. Nykirk trying to get the Stars on the scoreboard. He rolls out to his right, has time. He'll tuck it under and run. Martinsville recovers. Burkett with a stop there for the Artesians. Also in on the stop was Darius Cook. We'll give Nykirk a pickup of 9. 6 carries, 7 yards for Nykirk on the evening. 2nd and 2, clock running. Weber, the coach for Bedford, in no hurry here. Nykirk again. He's got his man open. Picked off, though, by Adam Field. And Adam has speed as well and will be stopped at about the 36-yard line. It's Adam Field with the interception. Played beautifully by the junior corner. Adams had some injury problems, but this is a very athletic kid, a kid that's really fast, really a ball hawk. You get the example of it right there, and the Artesians are very excited to have him in the defensive secondary. He flashes a little bit right there with the pickoff as Nykirk is intercepted on his 9th pass attempt of the night, and Martinsville has 18 seconds left to do something with it. Let's see what they do here. Tinnitus rolls back out. You got trips here to the near side. Some new receivers in for Martinsville. Tinnitus looks to the sideline, gets the call. He's back to pass. Martinsville wants something. They go deep. Jalen Arthur, the one-handed catch. But I believe they're going to say he was out of bounds. We're waiting for the call. Is there a penalty flag? I guess just an incomplete. Well, Jalen Arthur going on the go route and forced out of bounds. 2nd and 10. Maybe a little draw here to end the half. Trips again here to the near side, but you see that little bit of the gambler mode by Carter Whitson. They go to Cox. Cox makes one man miss. It's coming back, though. This is the 3rd double-digit yardage run by Tyler Cox that has been called back because of penalty. And, oh, yeah, he only has 107 yards on the ground as well. And that's without those 3 carries that have come back. He's had a 14-yarder brought back, a 12-yarder brought back, and now another 12-yarder brought back because of holding. So those holding calls not going to make Coach Whitson happy, but the 34 points on the scoreboard, pretty good with 2 seconds left in the first half of play. So they will roll the clock. That will do it. We'll go to the locker room. And it was a tremendous first half of play for Martinsville. We'll take a break, come back with some highlights and a lot more here at halftime. Martinsville leading 34-0.
Sportsmanship doesn't happen just on the court or on the field or on the mat. It doesn't happen only in the pool or on the green or the track. It also happens in the stands, on the sidelines, on the web, and at home. That's because sportsmanship is everyone's responsibility. We remind you to practice good sportsmanship at all high school sporting events. Treat athletes and officials with respect during competition and especially in social media. And support your team's coaching staff. Remember, sportsmanship has a face. Yours. A message from your high school and the Indiana High School Athletic Association.
We are back here at the half. Martinsville out in front, 34-0, and the marching Artesians are getting set to take the field here. Under the direction of Ken Belt. And we'll show you some of their show here in just a moment.
Features the music of the soundtrack for the movie Polly by the composer Beal.
We appreciate you guys joining us here on the MHS Rewind YouTube channel live. Hope you're enjoying the broadcast, brought to you by students in the RTV program at Martinsville High School. They've been doing a nice job here this evening running the cameras. Eric Burns, who will be doing the play-by-play normally in Chicago. So if he's listening, hopefully the Cubbies are winning, Eric. He'll be back next week. My daughter Mackenzie coming back to run the tech directing duties for the contest here tonight as we bring you Artesian football here on the MHS Rewind YouTube channel. And it's been a good debut for us here for Artesian football. Live, that is. As you see the band start to get ready, and we'll go to them in just a moment. Mr. Belt, the director, everything getting together for the Martinsville Marching Artesians here at the half, and we'll get a chance to bring you this now doing the live streams. And like we said, we've been covering Artesian athletics on WREP 15 Sports for the high school, when the high schools and the school corporation took over ownership of the TV station back in 1999. We started covering Artesian athletics for WREP in 1996 when station was owned by the Reporter. In 1999, the station was sold along with the Reporter to Schurz Communications, the parent company of the Herald Times, and at that time they decided it was better to try to donate the TV station to the school and let that continue. Really a big thank you at that time, though, to the editor, Betty Nunn, who really spearheaded that with Dr. Otter. And we've been on the airwaves ever since, now just in a little bit of a different presentation mode here as we're live on the MHS Rewind YouTube channel, which is great. Now, a lot of people around the world get the opportunity to be able to see what Artesian athletics get to do on the field, but also what the students in the RTV program can do as well. And we'll go down to the field now to take a look at what Ken Belt has done with the Artesians, Marching Artesians, here in 2019. So a look there at the 2019 Marching Artesians, a couple weeks into the season for Ken Belton, a short preview of this year's show. Let's take a look now at the first half stats. Well, the first line tells it all, really. Martinsville, 34-0. They have dominated in every category. Nearly 300 yards of total offense, 171 pass yards, 125 on the ground. 9 first downs, have not turned it over. The Stars, 47 through the air, a lot of that coming on that last series. 38 on the ground, just 4 first downs and 2 turnovers. Individually for Martinsville, rushing-wise, Tyler Cox, 7 carries, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tyler has also had over 40 yards and carries called back for the penalties that didn't count, so it's been a great year for Tyler, great first game for Tyler Cox. Xavier Tonitis, 6 of 11, 171 yards and 2 touchdowns thus far for the senior in his first start. Not bad, but I think a lot around the Artesian coaching staff and the Artesian football community kind of expected they would see that performance out of the strong right arm of Xavier Tonitis. Matt Thomas with a couple of catches for 62 yards. Andy Myers with 2 catches for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. And like we said, the Artesians have also dropped a couple of touchdown passes, so Xavier's stats could be even larger than what they are. But 34-0, Martinsville dominating this one here at the half. We are going to take another quick break, and we will come back with more here live on the MHS Rewind YouTube channel in just a moment.
Join the majority.
Our definition of a relationship is being able to look you in the eye and hear about your concern, hearing about your family, hearing about your job, hearing about your aspirations, getting to know you, and positioning ourselves to help you meet those dreams. Now that sounds pretty old-fashioned, but we're not willing to give that up. We're simply not going to give that up.
For all the banking services you need, there's no place like home.
So back here at the half on the MHS Rewind YouTube channel, also on WRAP 15 Sports. Scoreboard tells it all. 34-0 Martinsville out in front. And the Artesians have had a lot of success here in the early going. Quarter number 2. A handoff up the middle. Linebackers, good ones with Pemberton, Nix, and Burkett. And then the corners with Adam Field and Billy Bias. Big third down. And again, the Artesian defense there. Again, trips go to the far side of the football field. Tonitis looks to the sideline for the play call. He'll go back. Looking downfield, Andy Myers is open, and Andy will flee the veer that they're going to run in freshman and played 4 years for the Artesians. First and goal now for Martinsville. Trips going to the far side. A little bit of a reverse will go to Matthew LaFrey here. Nykirk again. He's got his man open. Picked off, though, by Adam Field. And Adam has speed as well. Passing and over 700 yards on the ground. So you know that Bedford can put it in the air, but here early on, they're keeping it on the ground. They're keeping it in the hands of their tailback, and Martinsville is forced to fumble. Now the speed option to Tyler Cox. Tyler cuts back, shows his speed, and he's off and running. Tyler Cox, one man to beat. He is probably the second fastest Artesian, and he shows it. Said off and rolling, 34-0. The score. Martinsville over the Bedford North Laurent Stars. Well, each week we talk with head coach Carter Whitson inside Artesian football. Got a segment from earlier this week looking back at the Artesians' controlled scrimmage against Columbus East. First look at it on Friday night in almost a real setting, the controlled scrimmage against Columbus East. Can you talk a little bit about how you thought your team performed against what is perennially a very, very good ball club?
Right. This is, we talked about it before, we talked about it after. They're a 5A football team playing up in 6A this year because of the success factor. So that's a team that knows how to win, that knows how to work in the offseason. It has great numbers, it has great size and great coaching. And I felt like Friday night, I felt like we got after them pretty good. We came out and maybe we were going to throw it around a little bit more than maybe they were prepared for with what they're seeing all summer. And I know they don't game plan it and we didn't game plan it, but I felt like our kids competed more than the schemes, because the schemes really don't matter. Just playing physical and competing and making competitive plays was exciting to see us Friday night. Now the test will be, can we not get too confident in our success that we had on Friday night in a scrimmage and see if we can carry that on to week 1.
Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights from the contest against Columbus East on Friday night. There, the officials talking to both teams before the game. Talk a little bit about recruiting into officiating, and here we go.
That's the first play of the scrimmage, and there's Nigel Bryant. If you watch that on a different angle, you'll see Nigel take his guard all the way back into the tailback, and that was explosive. Again, those linebackers are there cleaning it up. This defense doesn't like to be talked about individually. They like to have about like that 6 or 7 guys on the tackle, and sometimes the defensive linemen are keeping the linebackers clean. Sometimes the linebackers are keeping the defensive linemen clean. So it's a really good unit that's working well together. There's the first play of our scrimmage, and it was actually a busted route, but we make some plays, and again, I think I'll be a really good offensive coordinator whenever we have busted plays and scramble and make some stuff happen, because we got kids that can do it.
A little wiggle here.
Yeah, get on the first drive, and we get a 4th and 8 and run a little speed option and block really well downfield. Again, for all the praise I gave Nigel, he also knows if he got his block on that last play, we would have scored. So, we can keep getting better and learning from this. There's Will Nix carrying it. You saw Tyler the previous play, water bug, nobody can hit him in the open field, and then Will's going to come in and run you right over. LaFerry with his second catch of the first drive, that was on a 4th and 1. So we converted 2 4th downs on that first drive, which was really exciting. And then we didn't show too much tempo. We didn't do too much tempo, but we ran a little bit at them and tried to get our kids prepped and get the referees prepped for how fast we can go. And Weston finished that one right there. There's the backup quarterback, Tyrus Martin, throwing to a sophomore, Philip Herbert. Philip's had a great summer. Really, we expect big things out of him as a sophomore. Again, there you see Will Nix, and that's a name you're going to hear a bunch over the intercom on Friday nights, and Weston Pemberton making those a lot of tackles. And there we go again. We get out in the spread, and you see Matt Thomas. Matt Thomas is a special, tall, big kid out there that's hard to cover, and you're going to see some big things out of him this year. Again, here's the best play I can call. Something where our kids that are talented, that know each other, that work hard, can go and make a play even when it's busted. So that's exciting to see. We've worked on it a bunch this offseason of finishing plays, and it was good to see Friday night. Xavier hitting again Will Nix on a check down right there and getting some positive yardage. The key to our pass game is going to be great protection, and we're really good up front again. We think so. So, having those guys will be awesome, and keeping the quarterback clean.
Look at some of the highlights. Not a lot of them. We weren't there for a whole lot of time, but you're moving a whole lot of people in and out, and kind of got a little bit of a feel for how the scrimmage would go. The ones didn't play a ton. You got everybody in and got out of there like what you always say to me. We just want to get out of there healthy, and that's what you're able to do.
Yeah, we wrote it up on the board before. We were 0-0 coming out of this, so let's get better. Let's learn from it. Let's stay healthy, and we reached all those goals. So we're excited about that. We'll even get some kids back that didn't play in the scrimmage that will be healthy for week 1 and week 2. So that's good to have as we go throughout the season. Health is a big key for us. And, we need to stay healthy. We need those key players to stay on the field, and it was good to get out Friday night with that happening.
So a little bit of a look back at Inside Artesian Football, the segment this past week from the Coach's Show with Carter Whitson, talking about the scrimmage against Columbus East. Martinsville having some success against Columbus East, and he didn't know if that game would be really, if he could point to that game for a whole lot. He knew that Columbus East would be good. He knew that they would be much bigger than Martinsville, and he just wanted to get out of there without any injuries. But I think he and the team came out of there with a lot of confidence because they really played well against Columbus East and really kind of put it to a team that is playing in 6A. So they had a lot of confidence coming into this game, and you've seen that confidence shine through in the first half in the 34-0 Artesian lead. We also, in the Coach's Show this week, we talked with Coach Whitson about the keys to the game, and he said it's going to be the same key I talk about every week. It's the old cliche, win the turnover battle. And if you do that, you're going to win the game.
The biggest thing I think for us all year with how we're going to be offensively is the turnover battle. We need to take care of the ball. We need 0 fumbles. There are going to be some interceptions that happen with us throwing it around as much as we are. But what we have to do as a whole team is get the ball back defensively. So you can talk about offensive schemes, defense. We have to win the turnover battle, and if we win 1-0, that's awesome. Because that's exactly what we were supposed to do is have 0 turnovers. Now I want more out of the defense than that, but that's the first thing first that we'll talk about, and you can ask me that question every week, and we're going to keep rehashing it, and hopefully the kids hear it again and again and again because it's one of the most important things we can talk about.
And right now Martinsville winning the turnover battle, not 1-0, but 2-0, and they're winning the scoreboard where it really counts, 34-0. Well, lots of changes this year for Martinsville, and one of those is the drop down in class to Class 4A. And gone are the traditional sectional opponents with Bloomington South, Bloomington North, Whiteland, Franklin, and used to be Columbus East. And now there are a bunch of new potential opponents. The regular season schedule remains the same. It's just the tournament where Martinsville has dropped down to Class 4A and sectional number 23 as the Artesians return back to the football field as we're probably about 3 minutes away from kickoff in the second half. New sectional 23 opponents, some familiar foes, some Conference Indiana opponents or Mid-State Conference opponents in Greenwood and Mooresville. Mooresville ranked 3rd in the coaches poll to start the season. But then you'll see the likes of Jennings County, Madison, South Dearborn, Silver Creek, and then number 4 ranked East Central. And East Central, the Trojans winning the Class 4A sectional title and state title in 2017, and they've got a fine team returning this year as well, so you'll probably have to be going through East Central if you want to come away with a sectional title. And a little bit different as well, Class 5A had really the 4-team sectionals. Martinsville sometimes had 5 teams, and most teams received a bye, so you could play 2 games and win a sectional title. Well, now with the drop down to Class 4A, there's 64 teams in Class 4A. That means that there are 8-team sectionals, and Martinsville is one of them, so you will have to win 3 games now to win a sectional title. But Martinsville right now off to a good start as they lead it 34-0. And you get a look there at the Artesian student section. It is large and in charge here in the home opener for the Martinsville Artesians. 34-0 to score here as we're getting set to come to the second half of play. We will take one more break, come back with that second half kickoff in just a moment.
Sportsmanship doesn't happen just on the court or on the field or on the mat. It doesn't happen only in the pool or on the green or the track. It also happens in the stands, on the sidelines, on the web, and at home. That's because sportsmanship is everyone's responsibility. We remind you to practice good sportsmanship at all high school sporting events. Treat athletes and officials with respect during competition and especially in social media. And support your team's coaching staff. Remember, sportsmanship has a face. Yours. A message from your high school and the Indiana High School Athletic Association.
We are set to go now for the second half of play. 34-0. Martinsville out in front of the Bedford North Lawrence Stars. If you missed it, here's a quick look again at the halftime team stats. Martinsville nearly 300 yards of total offense, 9 first downs, 4 for Bedford, and they are indeed winning the turnover battle, like head coach Carter Whitson talked about in his show this week. Hey, catch that show all season long on WREP 15 Sports, also the MHS Rewind YouTube channel. And don't just tune into the MHS Rewind YouTube channel to check out the live sports that we do or replays or coaches shows. The kids in the RTV program do some fantastic work. They've garnered 8 state championships, 42 first-place plaques in about 15 years of work, and they do a great job. Support what they do as well. You'll see some short films. You'll see news packages, newscasts as well. So take a chance, check that out. These kids are giving up their Friday nights to come out here and bring you Artesian athletics live so you can enjoy it around the world, or if you can't make it out. So please support what they do as well. We greatly appreciate it. Shoemaker with a little bit of a line drive squib, and it'll be kicked out of bounds at about the 22-yard line. So that's where Bedford will start on their opening series of half number 2. First and 10 for Bedford. Martinsville has done a fantastic job limiting Bedford. Just 47 yards through the air, 38 yards on the ground. Nykirk rolls out. Nowhere to go with it. He slips through a Weston Pemberton tackle attempt, but then he's brought down by Wesley Badger in pursuit. A pickup of about 4 for Nykirk. It'll bring up a second down. I think I said that was Badger. I believe it may have been Kleesner with the stop there. Numbers sometimes hard to see, so second down. Nykirk with the pitch. The Artesians right there, and down he goes. James Hicks sets the edge. Jacob Burkett finishes him off, and the pickup of Scherschel goes for negative yardage. So a 3rd and 8 for Bedford. Nykirk comes to the line. Play clock down to 5. Back to pass. pressure. Down he goes. Ball is loose. Pemberton with the big hit. And it is fallen on by the Stars. It looked like Darius Cook was looking for a scoop and score, but the big hit by number 26, Weston Pemberton, will force a 4th and forever. And it appears as if Bedford will punt it away. So that loss for Bedford will be for 15 yards. And Nykirk's stats go in the negative once again. So the Stars will punt it away, and they don't have much territory to punt it from. Skylar Bates back in the end zone. Not as deep as normal. A little bit of a rugby punt. It's blocked. Jacob Burkett falls on it. A touchdown for Martinsville. The Artesians now with 40, and we alluded to this in the first half of play. That 40 will put Martinsville over the 35 mercy rule. The game clock will run for the rest of the game. It will stop on timeouts, injuries, and scores. And even if Bedford gets it under 35, the clock will continue to run. So it's going to be a quick second half of play. The extra point by Shoemaker is blocked. But Martinsville with a block of their own. 40 now for the Artesians, and they are rolling here in the opener over the Bedford North Lawrence Stars. So let's take another look here at the block by Burkett on the punt attempt. Bates blocked. Fooled our cameraman momentarily. Burkett fell on it, lost it, and then fell on it again. And Martinsville 40-0, and like we said, the clock running. So we get some changes, like we said. We talked about the sectional changes. We talked about the running clock changes. And we'll probably get some changes offensively and defensively for the Artesians as well. Bedford picks it up, slips a couple of tackles. Still going. And all the way to the 30-yard line for the Stars is Dylan Nykirk. Nykirk, the younger brother of Dalton Nykirk, the freshman, rumbles all the way down to the 30. But the clock running, and like we said, it's not going to stop again. And that was one thing that the coaches Association was a little concerned about, because if Nykirk takes that back, Bedford has some momentum now. Yeah, the score was still 5 scores, but the clock's going to continue to run, and any thought of them coming back has really been erased. But kids are going to get an opportunity to play here. You'll see, I'm sure, a lot of people running in and out. Dalton Nykirk on the keeper. He'll pick up about 4 on the carry. 9 carries, 0 yards now for Nykirk on the night. Second down, like we said, the clock will run. The mercy rule in effect here in the home opener. Martinsville out in front 40-0 over the Bedford North Lawrence Stars. Last year, Martinsville 34 points a game. They gave up 19 defensively. Over that average here tonight with 40, under it by a lot. Shutout thus far. Handout up the middle will be a first down for Bedford. It will be the big tailback, Skylar Bates, with a carry of 7 7 carries, 19 yards now for Bates. And the Stars inside the Artesian 20. Some of their best field position of the night. There are a little bit of a few busted plays on the kickoff return, gave them great field position. Again, they'll give it up the middle to Bates. Bates picks up 4 on the carry. And it'll bring up a second down for the Stars. So if you're just tuning in, you're seeing the clock run here. You're going to see it run for the rest of the game, except for timeouts and scores, because the mercy rule, the new one implemented by the IHSAA, the National Football Coach Association, I think just the IHSAA implementing that will be in effect. So it won't stop the rest of the game. Nykirk, speaking of not stopping, squirts his way through for a pickup of about 7. And the Stars have it. First and goal from about the 8-yard line. Well, Martinsville, 34 points on the board in the first half of play. On the Stars' opening series, Martinsville forced a fumble on third down, a huge hit by the sophomore Weston Pemberton. Nearly a scoop and score by the Artesians, but just one play later, it was a blocked punt. Jacob Burkett fell on it, and Martinsville's touchdown was good. If you're going to point to anything tonight that hasn't gone well for the Artesians, it's been extra points. They've had a 1 extra point kick attempt blocked, and then 2 of 5 on the 2-point conversions. But they may take the 40% conversion rate if they can do that on 2-point conversions, and we'll probably see that throughout much of the year. Well, the penalty moves the Stars back, and the clock stops momentarily. Nykirk squirts through the right side, finds some daylight, and gets it inside the 10 once again to about the 6, a pickup of 7 for Nykirk. So a couple of carries for Nykirk for 7, has him now 11 carries, 14 yards. Just 54 yards for the Stars on the ground in 25 carries. And another 47 through the air. Bates gets the dive, and he dives forward inside the 5, down to the 3, a pickup of 3 for Bates. He now has 26 yards on 9 carries. And again, the Artesian defense right there. You get a look at the Artesian sideline. See, those guys will probably get some playing time here in the second half. Nigel Bryan has played a lot, number 54, playing both ways for Martinsville, a junior. Really impressing the coaches early on in the season. He's got a ton of strength there on the offensive and defensive lines. Handoff again up the middle to Bates, and that goes forward for maybe a half a yard. Let's see where the officials, though, end up spotting it. 4th down. I'm sure Coach Randy McKinney wants to preserve the shutout here. He's got some 2s in the lineup. Lots of 2s in the lineup for the Artesians, and so they'll try to preserve the shutout. Let's see if they can do it here on 4th and goal. From the 2. Nykirk, the pitch. Martinsville there. Can't make the stop. And the touchdown on the 2-yard option to Taven Stillions. He takes it in, and the Stars get on the board. 40-6 now. And like we said, the clock will continue to run, because once Martinsville reached that magic number of 35, the clock continues to run by the mercy rule. So Bedford will attempt the extra point. Bear up and it is good. Last year he was 51 of 57, and he makes good on that one. So 40-7 the score. The clock will stop here momentarily to set the kickoff, and then when it's ready, the officials will start it again. But what a fantastic opening for the Artesians this season. 40-7, they lead it over Bedford, and now let's turn our attention to game number 2. The Martinsville rivals the Bloomington South Panthers, and Coach Whitson will be quick to point out that game early on in his career, to him, not really a rivalry because they hadn't beaten Bloomington South. Well, they beat South last year. South beat Martinsville back in the sectional championship in double overtime in a heartbreaker. I think you can say rivalry back on. Coach Mo Moriarty has another fantastic team this year. The ties between Martinsville and Bloomington South run very deep. Mo played his football here on his coaching staff. He has a couple of former Artesians who've coached here, so it will be a dandy next week at Fred Huff Field as the South Panthers and the Martinsville Artesians will renew that rivalry once again. The kick will go into the end zone with a touchback. The clock will continue to run. That will bring an end here to quarter number 3. Remember, a running clock here. We'll head to the fourth quarter, all Martinsville, as they are out in front.
Our definition of a relationship is being able to look you in the eye and hear about your concern, hearing about your family, hearing about your job, hearing about your aspirations, getting to know you, and positioning ourselves to help you meet those dreams. Now that sounds pretty old-fashioned, but we're not willing to give that up. We're simply not going to give that up.
For all the banking services you need, there's no place like home.
Join the majority.
See the Artesians offense returning to the field, and we'll see what they do here. Maybe get a few more reps in for some of the 1s and 2s for Coach Carter Whitson. Billy Bias with the football. Billy on the cutback makes one man miss and will be brought down, but not before he picks up 9. Well, we talked about it in the first half of play. Billy, probably the fastest Artesian. Very, very close behind is Tyler Cox, and we saw Tyler's speed and really his breakaway speed late in that 77-yard touchdown run in the first half of play. But you see why Martinsville likes to get Bias in the open. He's a little shifty, got a little bit of a wiggle, and boy, is he fast. He's able to get going and gets it north and south pretty quick. And you'll hear coaches talk about it a lot of time. Get your foot in the ground and get north and south as quick as you can, and then use that speed. So we'll see if the Artesians continue to try to do that here. Second, we'll call it 1 now after the 9-yard pickup by the senior Bias. In motion is LaFerry. LaFerry has a touchdown run already on a reverse. This time LaFerry will be brought down after a pickup of about 3. So it looks like Martinsville really not trying to run the score up. And Coach Whitson has really said that since his time here. You know, it's an opportunity to get some other guys in, give them an opportunity to play, get some reps because you may need those 2s later in the season. Speed option coming here to the near side. Brought down, I think it's Tyler Cox, but it may be, it is Tyler with his 8th carry of the night. And that's a good pickup for Tyler Cox as he rolls for about 11. 8 carries, 118 yards for the junior and a couple of scores. And remember, he's had 3 carries called back that would total about 40-some-odd yards as well. Not bad for number 28 in the starting role here tonight. Tonight, looks like he's going for the air. He's had a big night as well. He goes up top. They've got all of Matt Thomas's jersey and then some. And the pass from Tinnitus will be incomplete. But the clock continues to run here with 9:20 to go. Like we said, the new mercy rule in effect this season. Once a team reaches a 35-point advantage in the second half of play, the clock will run throughout the rest of the contest, regardless of how close the other team gets. Bias met and brought down after a pickup of no yards. I'm going to have to check with Jason Carter. I think we may be counting those as passes. We'll see. So those last three actually have been passes that we've had. So I've got to mark those down and take them out of the rushing category and put them into the receiving category. Tinnitus again. Underneath throws. Is a reception there? It is, and Jalen Arthur pulls it in. A pickup of 8 that time. And you know what? Jalen's had a nice game. He caught one earlier down the sideline, a one-handed catch. He was forced out of bounds, so they was incomplete, but he still made the catch. And that time hauls one in, and Tyler Cox rushing his way forward. A pickup of about 6 that time for Ty Cox. Martinsville still tempoing a little bit, but not as much as they have earlier in the game. The clock, again, not a factor. It's running and has really since about a minute gone by in the first half, or second half, after Martinsville got the pump block and the recovery for a touchdown by Jacob Burkett. Matt Thomas makes a pass catch there, falling down. A little out route, picks up 8. His third catch of the night for 70 yards. I've got Xavier just under 200 at 199. Tyler Cox again squirts free, makes people miss, and Ty Cox tripped up at about the 12-yard line. You see the burst, you see the elusiveness, and then you see the speed. He's down to the 12, a 22-yard pickup by Tyler. 146 yards on the night for him and 10 carries, 2 scores. And Martinsville with the fantastic performance here in the opener. Tinnitus, back to pass. Looking for Matt Thomas. Incomplete. Tinnitus with a couple of touchdown passes, a 31-yarder and a 70-yarder, both to Andy Myers. Myers, or actually Matt Thomas on an end around, and that one's going to come back. Looks like we'll have a new quarterback coming in, and it'll be Ty Martin. And incomplete. Martin has some pressure, sidesteps it, trying to reset. Plenty of time, fires it. I think it's an interception. And it is. It's a interception by the Stars, so a turnover by Martinsville, and Bedford will have the football back. The clock, like we said, continuing to run here. Martinsville, though, they got on the scoreboard early in this one, and they got on the scoreboard often. A couple of touchdown catches by Andy Myers in the first half, a couple of touchdown runs by Tyler Cox, and then another one by Matthew LaFerry. Second half, just the one score. It was early, and it forced the running clock on the mercy rule as Jacob Burkett fell on a ball in the end zone, and Martinsville had the 40 points. 21-yard reception that time. The Tabin Stillions, and they may have found a receiver they want out there. Quick pitching catch this time. Derek Hutchins. I think we have a penalty flag or a discussion here. And the penalty flag or discussion just means the clock continues to run. It'll be on Bedford, and we're down to 2 minutes left in this one. 40-7, like we said, the clock running here, the second half of play. After Martinsville reached the 40 points, and the Stars will have it second and a long way. 22 for Bedford. Hand off this time to the Stars. Skylar Bates rumbles his way forward. A pickup of 15 for him. 11 carries now for 42 yards he has. Lots of Artesians running in and out. We're down to about a minute left in this one. This is probably going to be one of the quickest football games I've ever been at. Martinsville gets a interception, and he is planted after the interception, and I'll see who it is. The interception by Jason Cox, so Tyler's twin brother, with some pub, if you will. And then he was planted to the ground rather rudely, but the interception, the third turnover of the night, and the Artesian sideline jacked up. Happy for their teammates. Like Coach Whitson says, they really don't care who gets the headlines. They just want to win. And when they did here in the opener in impressive fashion, 40-7 over the Bedford North Lawrence Stars. Really, there wasn't a whole lot of offense in the second half of play because it was a running clock. Martinsville did a great job on the opening series against Bedford defensively. A big hit by Weston Pemberton on third down, forced a fumble. Martinsville couldn't recover it, but it put Bedford deep in their own territory. Their punt attempt was blocked. Jacob Burkett fell on it. It was the lone score in the second half because it triggered the mercy rule. The clock ran throughout the second half of play, and Martinsville ran out of here with a 40-7 win here tonight over the Bedford North Lawrence Stars. Well, we're glad we could bring this to you here on WREP 15 Sports and the MHS Rewind YouTube channel. We'll be here live streaming all season long. Stat-wise, real quick, Tyler Cox, 10 carries on the night, 146 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Xavier Tonitis, 11 of 18, will give him the 200 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air for the Artesian senior. It was a great night. Andy Myers, 2 catches, pretty good, both of those touchdowns. Matt Thomas had 3 catches for 70 yards. Here come the Artesians over to celebrate with their student section and the fans. They'll sing the school song, helmets up in the air, as Martinsville got the big win here tonight. We'll show this to you. Let it sink in. Well, you saw it in the game intro. 29 miles, the motto for head coach Carter Whitson. They started that journey tonight. Made a great step against the Bedford North Lawrence Stars. They'll try to take another step next week on the road against their rivals, the Bloomington South Panthers. Tons of storylines in that one. Tune in to MHS Rewind YouTube channel for Coach Whitson's Coaches Show. We'll take a look back this week at the game over Bedford. We'll preview the contest against Bloomington South as well. Great start to the season for Martinsville. 40-7, the victory. Get the thumbs up from Rob Helms. He's seen a lot of points scored here, and Martinsville's offense clicking here tonight as they win it 40-7, the final. Again, like to thank the students and the RTV classes at Martinsville High School. Without them, this live stream would not be possible. They did a fantastic job on cameras here tonight. It was Zane Spangler all night with the camera on his shoulder down low on the field. Alex Piccolo along with Mason Brown up top. Like to thank my daughter Mackenzie for tech directing for those students. And Mackenzie, I'm Eric Myers. So long, everyone, from Martinsville High School on WREP and the MHS Rewind YouTube channel. Martinsville starts it off in huge fashion. The big win over the Bedford North Lawrence Stars here tonight, 40-7, the final.